Hello everybody and welcome to my tutorial about matrices. Today I'll explain what a matrix is and what it's used for in the real world. I will also teach you how to add and subtract matrices. This is the first video in the series about matrices, so if you haven't seen them, go check them out. So what is a matrix? A matrix is a set of numbers arranged in rows and columns, as I'll show. So this is the row and this is a row. This is a column and this is a column. So as you can see, this is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row. And this is the first column, this is the second column, and this is the third column. And it's worth mentioning that this is an element, and this is an element, and this is an element, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when you write matrices down, you write them as M by N. And M stands for the amount of rows and N stands for the amount of columns. So for instance, this matrix has 1, 2, 3 rows and 1, 2, 3 columns. So it's a 3 by 3 matrix, also called a square matrix, because a square matrix is when M is equal to N. Yes, it's also worth knowing that a row vector is a matrix when M is equal to 1. And a column vector is a matrix when N is equal to 1. So when you read about matrices, they will all often be described with bold symbols to show that it is a matrix. And often there's some numbers behind that shows the amount of rows and columns the matrix is. So for instance, this symbol here, it's a bold symbol which suggests that it's a matrix, and it has a 1 which stands for the rows, so it is actually a row vector. But so it has 1 row and it has 2 columns, right? So this is the matrix with 2 numbers in it. And what are matrices used for? Generally, it is used to describe some sort of relation. It could be used to solve a system of equations, which is what I'll be looking at in the coming videos. It could be used in computer graphics, for instance, to manipulate a 3D model onto a 2D screen. It could be used in transformations to transform an object. It could be used in calculus and algorithms, and this is actually very important for machine learning, which would be interesting to look at later on. Okay, so matrix addition and matrix subtraction. First of all, there's one important rule when you add and subtract matrices, and that is that you need to have the same amount of rows and columns before adding or subtracting them. So here the amount of rows should be the same and the amount of columns. Okay, so let's just begin. So when you have this 2 by 2 matrix, then you take the first element. This is an element, as I explained before. The first element in the first row in the first column, so in the left top corner, and then the corresponding element, and then you just add them together, and you do that for every matrix, or every element in the matrix. So I'll just try to do it here. So then the first is 1 plus minus 8, and it gives us minus 7. And then the second one is 2 plus 9 is 11. And then the third one is 6 plus 2 and it's 8. And then the last one is 7 plus 3 and it's 10. And if you subtract them, I'll just try to subtract them here. It will give us a 2 by 2 matrix. I'll just do the same thing. I'll just take the first element here and then the corresponding element here, and I'll say 1 minus minus 8. So 1 minus minus 8, it gives us 9, and then 2 minus 9, it gives us minus 7. And down here it's just, again, I'll just take 6 minus 2 and then 7 minus 3. And then 6 minus 2 is of course 4, and then 7 minus 3 is actually 4 again. Okay, so just the last example, and here is a 2 by 1, and then we of course have to subtract it by a 2 by 1 matrix, and it gives us a matrix 2 by 1 here. Okay, so the first one is 7 minus 1. And again, here we take the first element, and this is the first row in the first column. And then the corresponding element, and we say 7 minus 1, which is 7 plus 1, and it's 8. And then we take the second element, which is the second row in the first column, and then the corresponding element, and then we just take 2 minus 4, and it's minus 2. So this is actually how you do it, and it's pretty straightforward. And I encourage you to do it yourself. Take some numbers and just try to add them together. It shouldn't be that hard to understand. And in the next videos, I will come across multiplication, which is not that intuitive as adding and subtracting matrices. So yes, thank you for seeing this video, and I hope you liked it and did understand matrices.